your success path to treasured photos. See how there's the treasure at the end of that path? It's a curvy, twisty, turny path that has 4 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4. And at the end of the path, when you've gone through the 4 steps, you get the treasure. And in this case, it's the best photo of your life. So let's take a look at the first step and we'll zoom in on the first step. Step 1 is your starting point to creating your own treasured photo. I used to skip step 1, and that's why my photos were so bad. But you'll notice that there are pitfalls here. If you skip step 1, you're going to fall through that bridge, and your great photos will be eaten by those alligators that are below the bridge in the water. You cannot skip step 1.
And what is step 1?
Well, step 1 is where your adventure begins. And the really cool thing is that your adventure begins at home with just 10 minutes of research on your phone or on your computer. And there's some very specific things you need to search for. And I will show you one of them now. I'm not able to show you the whole system for step 1, but it's only 10 minutes and I'm going to show you one of them now. It's so easy. You need to be able to visualize the photo that you want to take before you even arrive at your destination. And that is how I was able to get that photo of House on Fire in just under 2 minutes. So let me show you. Okay, so your adventure begins with a search for your destination using Google Maps, which is one of the greatest landscape photography research tools. So I typed in House on Fire and I see it on the red dot. Now right below my video window, there's a little yellow icon called the Street View, and I clicked on the Street View there. And you'll notice that these little blue dots show up. I clicked on one of them. And what those blue dots are, these are user-generated photos in 360, and I can grab them and turn them. So I'm doing the turning here. And I can visualize and usually see what House on Fire looked like, what the terrain looked like, what the ground looked like. I'm now picturing the composition that I want. Okay, I want the left edge over there. I want the right edge to be over there. And then when I've looked at that first photo, I'm going to click on the second little blue dot, which is a second 360-degree photo uploaded by some other second person who was there on a completely different day. And I want to look at the second one as well. And so I'm looking at the composition I want. Okay, the right side will be right there, and the left side will be there over on the left. I'm going to stand right here. I'm able to completely visualize exactly what my photo is going to look like before I ever get there. And I'm deciding all this at home, and this means I'm able to visualize that photo I want before I leave home. Now, there are additional tasks to complete inside of step 1, and I don't have time to go through them now, but it is literally only 10 minutes of fun at home, planning out your adventure. And you can do that, right? Like I'm asking you a question. You can spend 10 minutes on your phone or on your computer just doing some quick research and developing your adventure. And that is how you capture beautiful photos, is that you have to complete step 1. It's so easy to do. And I love step 1 because it makes me get excited about the next adventure that I'm going on.
So step 1 is all about getting yourself to the right place at the right time and knowing what your photo will look like before you even get there. Taking that 10 minutes to do your research online so you can visualize what you want before you even get there.
Exactly. And this brings me to step 2 of the Success Path method. Step 2 of the Landscape Photo Success Path picks up after step 1. Now you are there in step 2. You are at your destination. So step 2 also has some pitfalls, because if you don't complete step 2, if you skip this, like I used to skip it 14 years ago when I was walking around the sand dunes of Death Valley and coming up with horrible photos, if you skip it, your photo is going to get stung by that scorpion. Can you see it on the rock to the left of the cactus? That's a scorpion sitting there. You skip step 2 and your photo is stung and it's gone. You have to finish step 2 before you even touch your camera. You notice that in the image there, Indiana Jones does not have his camera in his hands. He's really doing this. He's deciding on his composition. Now, step 2 has a number of tasks that only take a couple of minutes to complete when you're at the location in the field. And I will show you one of the tasks right now. Step 2 involves selecting your composition. Now, composition is kind of like what you are pointing your camera at, what you are aiming your camera at. That's the composition. Should you point it a little left? Should you point it a little lower? Should you zoom in? Well, step 2 answers all those questions. In step 2, you need to identify a powerful hero that is just one thing. You don't want a photo of the entire canyon. You want a photo of just this one bend in the river. That is your powerful hero. And it is just one thing. You don't want a photo of the entire canyon. You want a photo, of just a chosen 3 rocks that are framed in between 2 other rocks. This creates your powerful hero, your one thing. And you don't want a wide panorama of mountain peak after mountain peak that goes forever. You want one rock feature, one powerful hero. That's your one thing. And you don't want an entire huge canyon. You want just one feature inside the canyon that becomes your powerful hero, your one thing. Step 2 of the success path is a series of tasks that helps you choose your powerful hero for your photo. And you know, I am a judge in the Epson International Pano Awards photo contest, and I've reviewed thousands and thousands of photos and had to assign them a score as in the photo competition. And the consistent thing that's missing from the photos that get the really low scores is the powerful hero. They don't have one thing that's a powerful hero. But step 2 of the success path shows you how to find your powerful hero. Now, this doesn't just work for me. This isn't just a Tim thing. I want you to meet Simon Cullinan. Oh, do you hear this?
Oh,
We have
yeah.
fighter jet action. It's going right there in the blue sky.
Wonder if
Wow.
can we see it at all? No?
Yeah,
I can
it's
hear
so
it.
loud. I don't know if you could see it in the blue sky, but it just went right over my head. Incredible. So I want you to meet Simon Cullinan. He took this 4-step training and he wrote that step 2 has changed my whole perspective. Literally, I can never look at a photograph quite the same from now on. I also want to introduce you to Kelly Minton, who also took this training, and he wrote, I have been brainwashed. When I look at pictures now, all I see is composition. This is very good training. So the reason I'm introducing you to those people is because I want you to realize this isn't just a Tim thing and it only works for me. It works for everyone who uses the landscape photo success path. So you might be thinking that to create stunning photos, you need expensive camera gear. No! The truth is that anyone can create amazing photos if you first find a powerful hero in your compositions.
Fantastic. Okay, so, man, I hope you guys are taking good notes because this is all so valuable and you can start implementing these things immediately. So let's move on to secret number 2, how you can create perfectly exposed photos even if you're not a technical person.
Right. So the false belief that I used to carry around with me like heavy baggage is that I'm not good at the technical side of photography, like camera settings. And because I don't understand all the buttons on my camera, I will never be able to take great photos. But you don't need to know every button on your camera. You just need to let your camera do the heavy lifting for you. And this brings me right into step 3 of the success path, which is the easy way to use your camera settings. And when I learned what I'm about to show you, my photography changed forever. So if you get advanced, a couple.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah, and let's go to the right there. Yeah. So when we look closer at step 3, you'll see that if you miss this step, there is a snare and there's a big rock that's going to roll over your camera and crush your photos. So you need to complete step 3. So you've already done step 1, which was the stuff you did, the little research back home. You've done step 2, you've decided on your composition. And now in step 3, you're picking up your camera and you're going to choose your camera settings and which one you're going to use to make sure that your photo turns out perfectly. So here is the thing. I used to be so frustrated with camera settings. I wouldn't know where to start, but that's because I didn't know what I was trying to actually achieve. You need to know what your goal is, or you will never arrive where you want to go. So there are only 2 goals with camera settings. The first is to create a sharp photo, and the second is to create a correctly exposed photo. They're very different. You remember those sand dune photos from 14 years ago that I showed you with the washed out sky? Well, those were not correctly exposed photos. But I'm going to show you how to achieve a correctly exposed photo right now. Before I show you how to create a correctly exposed photo, I want you to think about your car for a second. Have you ever used cruise control on your car and you're driving down the highway, but your car is catching up to the car in front of you? So what do? Because you need to slow down just a little. So on your steering wheel, there is a plus button and a minus button. And when you want to slow down, you hold down the minus button. And if you want to speed up, you hold down the plus button. And we've all done this at some point. Well, the same is true with your camera. The most important button on your camera does the same thing as cruise control on your car, and it's called the EV button, and it's a little plus or minus symbol. So if your photo is too bright and the sky is washed out, then you can darken it a little by holding down the minus button, and then you take the picture again and review it. So you remember my sand dunes photo from 14 years ago that left me so frustrated? Well, I could have fixed this on the spot right out there in the dunes, and I could have fixed that washed out sky with the EV button in about 2 seconds.
That's amazing.
If I had done that, then my photo that morning could have looked more like this with a correctly exposed sky. And it's so easy to take a correctly exposed photo when you let your camera do the heavy lifting for you. And you need to know this is not something that has only worked for me. Listen to what Lisa Arsenault, who took this 4-step training, said after she learned step 3. She wrote in, "Finally, someone explaining focus points for me in a way that was so understandable, and so many other gems in there about bracketing, focus stacking, and more. I got a great deal out of this lesson alone." And Mary, too, she also took the 4-step training, and after taking the step 3 training on camera settings, she wrote, "I have learned so much more about my camera settings and how to use them than I ever thought possible." And also Rachel Myers, who really took her photography to the next level by winning awards after taking the 4-step training. She wrote this on Facebook, "I had always aspired to become an award-winning photographer, but never thought I would actually win an award. Each one of you can become one too." So here's the takeaway for you. Some photographers think they need to understand every button on their camera, but you don't. The truth is that for secret number 2, you can use a simple camera setting so that your camera will do the heavy lifting for you, and you don't need to be highly technical to create amazing photos.
Are you guys ready for step number 3? How you can easily add drama to your photos by painting with light. I absolutely love this part. Are you going to do a live demonstration for us today of painting with light, Tim?
Of course I am.
I just turned the chat on, so if you have ever seen Tim paint with light, it's absolutely amazing. So tell us in the chat if you're ready to see this, because it's really incredible.
Yeah, I love painting with light. It's just that same process, just like an artist paintbrush. So this brings me to step 4 in the 4-step success path, which is called painting with light. And you notice that there are no pitfalls after step 4. And that's because if you don't get this right the first time, you can just go back and retouch your photo again. And notice that Indiana there, he's holding a paintbrush, and this is because you need to learn that to retouch your photos, you need to paint with light, just like a painter with a paintbrush. It is so easy to do, and it is so fun.
Absolutely. So do you want to see Tim transform these photos from the Sequoia National Park by painting with light? Just pop a little yes in the chat. I turned the chat on for you. Say heck yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully everyone wants to see this, because I'm going to transform this photo like you cannot believe. It looks like a silhouetted photo of silhouetted trees, and we're going to transform this into something that I personally want on my wall.
Absolutely.
All right, so I've got the image open in Lightroom Classic, and I want to make these big sequoia trees really pop. So I'm going to paint in some light over the sequoia trees. But before I do that, I'm just going to make a few global adjustments to the entire image. I'm going to brighten it up a little bit. I'll set the white point and I will set the black point, and then I will be ready to paint with light. And now I am ready. So what I would like to do before I do the tree trunks, this snow is not bright enough. So let's make the snow brighter. So I'll click on the masking tool and then click on brush. I've just created a brand new brush, and I'm going to brush over all of the snow. Now you're seeing what I call red spray paint, and that just means it's telling me where I have brushed and where I have not brushed. So it's just kind of letting me know what the mask looks like. And now I have finished painting that red spray paint over everything. So if I want to, I could turn up that snow really, really bright or really, really dark, but I just want it to look like nice, white, freshly fallen snow, and that's a big help. So now let's work on the sequoia tree trunks. So I click on the plus button and go down to brush, and I've created a brand new brush. So what I want to do is brush over all of these tree trunks. And this is the process that I absolutely love to use for landscape photos. I love painting in light because it so closely resembles the experience of being a painter. Because really what I'm doing here is I'm deciding what areas of the photo my viewer is going to look at. And how is it I'm deciding that? It's because the eye is always attracted to the brightest part of a photo. So if you make one area of the photo a little extra bright, that's going to attract the eye of your viewer. So I've got all of the tree trunks now painted, and so now I can turn them up with their exposure. I can make them really, really, really bright or really, really dark. But I just want to give them a little pop of light, and that's looking nice. I think that the image overall would look better if it was a little bit warmer. So I'm going to go to the white balance, and right now it's as shot, and I'm going to go to daylight, and that warmed it up a bit. Let me just try cloudy, and cloudy warmed it up even more. I'm really liking that. One last thing, you'll notice that Leah is in the very bottom of the picture here. Well, let's move her into the middle, and one more brush very quickly. Click on plus, click on brush. I'll brush over her. She's wearing an orange backpack and a turquoise jacket, and now I can turn up the exposure on her just a little bit so that you will notice her just a little bit more. It's important to have a person in this shot because it gives that sense of scale to the size of these sequoia trees. So I'm done there. So I'll click unzoom the image, and now let's take a look at the before. And here is the before, and here is the after. What a huge difference. Here is the before, and here is the after.
Just awesome, Tim. One of the things that I always find fascinating whenever I see you do this is a couple things. Number one is how simple it is once you know the steps. And the other piece is how quick it is. You would never imagine that you would be able to accomplish such an incredible feat and take that before to the after with such simple technique. But the beauty of actually, being an artist and playing with light. It's so
yeah, and this is the fun part. Like, everyone knows how to pick up a paintbrush, dip it in paint, and put some paint on a canvas or paper. It's so easy, and that's the exact same thing that you're doing here with the brush when you're painting with light. And it just makes so much intuitive sense, and you don't need to know about all of these millions of sliders and complicated Photoshop stuff. It's just so much easier to paint with light.
Absolutely. But this is something that I think is so important, and it's not just Tim who can do this. Let's talk about Matt quickly, who took Tim's training, and he wrote, "As someone who has rarely ever used the brush, you've opened me up to a whole new world of possibilities. Being able to save images I thought were long lost and editing them to show the hero of the story. I thought that I knew my stuff, but I knew very little, and now I know so much more. Thanks for making it easier for me to learn." Think about the amount of photos that you have already taken that you could go back and use to paint with light and find your hero, and then taking that learning and moving into back to step one and really doing your research to create those amazing photography shots. This one was great too. I loved what Teresa has to say here. "Tim, the class on post-processing alone was worth the cost of the entire course. You offered so many insights that I have never been exposed to, and I have watched a lot of YouTube videos on this topic. I'm inspired to reprocess many of my favorite compositions." And this goes back to what you said earlier, Tim, how we get analysis paralysis. We go to YouTube, we look up videos, and we just get a fire hose of information rather than just